Hi, I'm Lydia, and I lived in mold for 4 years, toxic mold. And I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, what that was like, but also a little bit um, about how people treated us when we were in mold. And maybe even the broader topic of like how we treat people in need. So getting out of mold, I mean, when we were in mold, it was hell. It really was. And we went through a lot in it, like a lot of misery, all just so much in the 4 years. And when we were trying to get out of the mold, it was a really difficult time. We were looking for places to stay. We were thinking of all sorts of possibilities. We expanded our minds to where nothing was off limits. And I mean nothing. Absolutely nothing was off limits to us. And it was scary every day. It was so scary to live that way. You know, when homelessness isn't off the table, when losing everything isn't off the table and is considered but finally, you know, we were getting some I don't want to say offers, but we were putting in offers for places to rent, and finally people were messaging back, most of which didn't happen. They found other people, whatever. That's, you know, how it works. But there were still some of them pending. I remember being very excited about a few of them too. And we finally even had it scheduled where we were going to look at a place, which was a good sign, because up until then we'd only looked at one other place, and it ended up not working out, and it was actually really terrible, but whatever. But we had scheduled a time to look at a really amazing place. It ended up being this place that we're at right now. So yeah, but when this place was scheduled to be looked at, we ended up looking at this other place, and these people heard our story, and they said that they felt really bad for us. They really wanted to help us, and they showed us around a place that was nearly condemned. When we walked up to the outside of the house, it already looked very broken down, which they warned us ahead of time. To be fair, they did warn us that they were fixing the place up, and that they said that they were going to like remodel it and restore it, and that they were going to give us this place to stay for a little while if we wanted to, that they would help us out. They were doing us a favor, you know, if you will. And they said, like, there will be construction going on, but it's no big deal. You guys can come on in. We asked them, is there any mold? Obviously, that's a huge factor, because we explained to them our situation. We can't be in mold. Like, you know, we're not going to go from one toxic situation to another. And they swore up and down, no mold, absolutely none. Okay, so we walk in. Even though the outside of the house already looks kind of sketchy, we're open-minded, whatever. You know, we believe them. Why wouldn't we? So when we walk in, we are immediately hit with such a intense, mildewy, moldy smell. But we still are open-minded, and we still proceed to walk through the tour. Luckily it was pretty cold out, so we were able to like cover our noses with our sleeves and sort of play it off like it was fine. Like we were just so cold, you know. But as we were walking through, we already could tell that this place, well, one had mold, but one was very sketchy. And like the floors were creaky and stuff, which is fine. There's plenty of old houses. The house that we lived in had creaky floors, but they seemed unstable. And as we were walking, well, first we walked through the kitchen, and the ceiling already was open, and you could clearly tell that there was water damage. I mean, we had just came from a house with water damage, so we already knew what that looked like, and it was very clear, you know? But we proceeded. We were already like, I don't think that this is a good idea. We both gave each other a look, my mom and I, like, this doesn't seem like a good idea. I mean, this clearly has mold, right? But we continued. And as we continued, come on. Oh, she's so snowy. Oh, you're so snowy. Come here. Look over here. Where was I? But then we just went on the tour. It was fine. Like, or, you know, we tried to pretend like it was fine. And as we walked upstairs, the stairs they seemed very unstable, and they were very narrow, and on the walls, the paint was chipping. Stop. You want to go? All right. See ya. Okay. All right. Oh, there's the camera. Oh. Say hello. Look. Oh, you're very cute. Okay. Anyway. Anyway, the walls were peeling up when we were walking up the stairs, and it just was pretty gross. But as we kept walking up the stairs, they guided us to the rooms that we would be staying in, and the floorboards were like, they had gaps in them, and there was plywood and parts of the floor just stacked everywhere. It looked very sketchy. Like, I didn't know if there was like nails on the floor sticking up. I don't know. I didn't know. And upstairs in the bedrooms, the paint on the walls was way worse. Like, the paint was like coming down. And they just told us like, oh, it's no big deal. Like, we're gonna just like paint over it. And like, oh, you guys can help paint, by the way. If you like, you guys can do that in your spare time. You know what I mean? And they just were empty. They looked like condemned rooms that they were like, oh yeah, you can sleep right here on the floor. You know, it was pretty wild. From what I remember, there was maybe there was like a half bath that was available, but there was definitely one bathroom where it was just completely, like, it was like completely unusable, and it was just really disgusting. Like, the bathroom, like the bathtub had like mud, like, I'm not mud, but like, it was just dirty and like old. I don't even know how old. The houses here are pretty old, so who knows. And the sink was filthy and had stuff in it. Like, I don't know. It just was crazy. And you could just tell that the whole place was very unsanitary. I'll insert a few photos because, I mean, why not? The photo, they relisted the place on Facebook Marketplace and did not redo the house like they said they would at all. I mean, maybe it was too big of a project for them. I don't know. Anyway, at the end of it all, we were nice to them the whole time, obviously, because, we were very fogged. So, in our minds, we were like, is this really that bad? I don't know. Maybe it's not. Like, in our heads, we kind of convinced ourselves, like, it was okay, and that was, like, normal. Even though we felt very afraid, we felt like this was toxic, and it made us want to cry. If we didn't have any prospects of living here, we probably would have been crying. But at the end of it, we asked them, like, just out of curiosity, like, are we, like, oh, how much are we going to be staying here for? Just to see if they were going to charge us, or like if they really, were offering this place to help us, because we clearly were needy. And they both, there was a man and a woman, they said $600. So I know that that's like very inexpensive, but to live in a condemned house that already has mold, like, that's kind of crazy, right? I mean, nobody should live in that condition, especially when you're offering help to somebody, especially when those people are already sick from toxic mold. I don't know. The whole thing was just really crazy. And I feel, honestly, even though I'm talking about this very freely, I feel very, like, still very awkward inside to talk about it this way, because, I still have that fear that, like, people are going to think that I'm ungrateful. Like, these people offered you a place to stay when you were needy. But then the other flip side of me is like, no, this shouldn't be offered to anybody, even a homeless person. Like, even if you're homeless, even if you're on the street, even if, no matter how needy you are, you shouldn't have to be offered filth. And why is it that some of our mindsets, especially my mindset, was that, like, oh, because I'm needy, I deserve less than healthy, that I deserve toxicity. What kind of mindset is that? It's insane. Yeah, and so when I, a couple months ago, finally, that happened maybe 5 months ago now, but just last month, I posted the photos of that house in a mold toxicity group and told them a bit of the story, and they thought it was insane, and it just was very validating to me to have people tell me that was as crazy as I was thinking it was, because it's like, we all need that sometimes, don't we? Like, we need a little bit of a reminder and a little bit of a validation that, like, our feelings about something are right. Like, our suspicions about things are right. And that we can stick up for ourselves or want more for ourselves. And on top of that, it also reminded me and showed me that, like, I deserve more. Like, that isn't normal conditions. People live in clean, healthy, wonderful environments. That isn't normal to live in filth. Yeah, so that was my experience. I don't know. I kind of hope that sharing it maybe helped you guys, or, like, I don't know, shed some light on my situation. Yeah. Anyway, have a good day, you guys.